So thank you everyone for coming today. There might be a few more people that start to roll in as we go, and that's okay. So we just wanted to talk about the youth network at FCJ Refugee Center and what it's all about. Victoria and I both are the anti-human trafficking youth workers at FCJ, and we're both quite new to the youth network itself. So we wanted to provide a session, an information session for youth and service providers to get to know what the youth network is about, but also who we are as well. So I'll let Victoria introduce herself as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I am also the anti-human trafficking youth worker at FCJ. I'm really excited to be here and to share with everyone all about our program and what we're all about.
Okay, so we're going to start with, like always, we're going to start with a land acknowledgement. So I'm just going to read this out here. So here at FCJ, we all believe that we must reflect upon the true and terrible foundation upon which Canada was built. It was built on stolen land with stolen sons and daughters. This year, we will not celebrate, we will reflect. This year demands from us thoughtful consideration of the findings of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in order to create change and work with Indigenous communities. We must demand action from our elected officials. We must demand that all children are taught the true history of the land upon which we stand. We recognize how we have profited from Canada's colonialism, and we at the FCJ Refugee Center would like to acknowledge the land on which its establishment is housed and where staff, volunteers, and members alike gather. This land is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. Okay. So I wanted to first start to talk about who we are at FCJ overall, because a lot of you might not know FCJ Refugee Center, and you might be new to it completely. So we wanted to first do an overview of what FCJ is, and then later we'll talk about specifically the youth network and its history here at FCJ. At FCJ, we've been walking with uprooted people for 30 years. This past year, we got to celebrate our 30th anniversary. We are a nonprofit organization which serves refugees and others at risk due to their immigration status. We welcome anyone asking for advice, counsel, and support regarding any of these immigration issues. And we also address systematic issues that newly arrived refugee claimants and persons with precarious immigration status face in Canada, which includes the lack of resources, marginalization, and discrimination. Something that is unique about FCJ is that we have open doors to anyone, no matter their status. There are a lot of organizations that work with newcomers, but a lot of the times their programs and services have eligibility requirements that you need to have some sort of status. So that would either be a PR or a citizen. And at FCJ, we don't have that eligibility requirement. Anyone and everyone is welcome. So we have a lot of programs at FCJ. It's when I first started here, it's almost overwhelmed. So I'm going to go briefly over all these programs, but I just want everyone to know if there is any program that sounds you want more, that piques your interest and you want more information, please feel free to reach out to us and we can connect you with whoever's running or coordinating that program. But we'll be talking about the youth network and the youth programs in detail, but here's a brief overview. So we have the anti-human trafficking program. In this program, we have an anti-human trafficking team. We have a youth alliance against human trafficking that combines the youth and anti-human trafficking components. We have a women's alliance that is run by our colleague Isabella. We also have the Migrant Mobile program, where we have a WhatsApp number where people can contact us, and migrant workers can contact us, reach out, and we can support them through that avenue. And they can, it's a number that we advertise, and so they can either find us, reach out, even if they have an international number, or their caseworker can reach out to us as well there. We have our Access to Education program, which Victoria will talk about a little bit more later. We have our Refugee Protection Program and Settlement Services, where we support clients with their immigration documents and applications, such as a work permit, study permit, PR applications, H&C applications, sponsorships, refugee travel documents. We also have a housing and food security program where we, we have a shelter where we shelter, I think it's up to 30 women. And we also have a food security program as well. Every Thursday, we have hampers that we deliver to families that need the food hamper. We have we have a lot of advocacy work that we do. We attend conferences. We're part of a lot of networks and coalitions where we advocate for migrant workers and refugees. And we have popular education as well. This means that we have a lot of webinars, such as this one, but also other webinars and workshops that we deliver as well to other organizations, to our clients, to youth, to families, to women. And we also have a primary care clinic as well. Right now, that is running mostly over the phone and in video, and it's by appointment only. But pre-COVID, it was obviously a little bit different, but during these times, it is virtually. Unless after the first assessment, there's need to continue working in person, then it's case by case.
All right, so now we get to the main portion of this webinar. So I just want to start talking about the youth network as a whole and kind of how we all started. So firstly, the FCJ Youth Network is a positive and inclusive space to welcome migrant and newcomer youth from around the world. So just to go back about a little bit of how we started the Youth Network. So the Youth Network was created in 2011 when we realized that there wasn't a space for newcomer and precarious migrant youth to meet and share their experiences and explore solutions to the different challenges and barriers that they were experiencing. So the FCJ Refugee Center addressed this gap by creating the FCJ Youth Network. So the foundation of the Youth Network is for refugee and precarious migrant youth to feel welcomed, to have a space where they can express their thoughts and feelings without being judged, to feel empowered to ask questions and access resources. Also to have a place where you can have fun and meet new people, especially others going through similar trials and tribulations. Just recently we had a conversation with our youth and we asked them why they love the Youth Network and why they stay in it. And that was one of the main primary reasons why they stay in the Youth Network. It's because they meet new people and they have fun during our activities and even learning new things. And it's just the connection, the emotional bonds you create with the other youth and the friendships that they create as well. So that is mostly the huge appeal about our Youth Network. It's just a really inclusive space where anyone is welcomed. So just to touch upon more about everyone and anyone being welcomed. So as an organization, we work from a strong intersectional framework. So this means that we acknowledge the unique experiences that the youth have with discrimination and privilege. So the Youth Network strives to welcome anyone, regardless of their immigration status, language, race, ethnicity, sexuality, gender identity, religion, mental health, or any other aspect of their identity. As you can see here, I do have a little picture here about intersectionality. So this is something that is at the core of the FCJ Youth Network, just the acknowledgement that every single youth have different lives and have been through various different things, and it all intersects with their identity. So the core root of the FCJ Youth Network is acknowledging this and integrating it in our programs, and also doing an anti-oppressive approach as well when we're integrating our programs and when we're providing these services to our youth. So just to talk about more about this safe space that we strive to create here at the FCJ Youth Network. So the safe space is basically where clients, staff, and allies can feel welcome and free to share their ideas, stories, and needs. a place where people do not need to hide part of their intersecting identities due to, the fear of being judged. So it is a space where youth can get together and just act like themselves without the fear of anyone making fun of them for the way they speak or where they're from. It's a place where all the youth can come together and just act like their genuine selves. Our role as youth workers or allies is to create that safe space for the populations with whom we work with, for those who come to the center, for those who access our services. What we strive to do at FCJ is to provide these safe spaces for all of our clients and for all of our youth as well. We create this meaningful, safe space, and it's an ongoing process that includes revising and improving the space if needed. And I think that's really important to stress, that we're not saying that we're a safe space and that's it, but we are constantly revising and we're constantly trying to improve our programs depending on the youth that come in and depending on how the youth feel about the space that we are providing for them. We are constantly trying to improve our program. We work from a peer-to-peer approach as well. So we respond to the needs that our youth identifies, as well as respecting the principle of self-determination. I think that point is also extremely important as well, because all of our youth, like I said, come from different backgrounds. So it's extremely important to us to continue to respond to their needs, depending on what the youth are going through. So in these times, our job is to listen, keep our doors open, and provide a safe environment for youth to voice their concerns and access that support. To show the youth that we are here to listen, we respond and that we show that we're here and our door is always open. So that is one of the key things that we always, or at least the key mantra that we have here at FCJ, is that our door is always open. And of course, that is extended to our youth as well. And for those that are just looking for that safe space or looking for a place where there are people listening or people responding to their concerns, or even just to have a conversation. A lot of our youth have told us that sometimes they just want someone to talk to and someone to reach out to. And that's what we try to provide here at FCJ. It's not just a program, but rather it's a social connection network where we're responding to the needs and we're just maintaining and building friendships here as well. So just to talk a little bit more about what FCJ does, the FCJYN, the FCJ Youth Network. So the group strives to celebrate the resilience and potential of each of its members. So I think the root thing there is each of our members. And so what we try to do is to build that relationships with each of the members, so each individual, and see where their interest lies, and see what about their interest that they want to contribute to the program. And so one of the key things we try to do in the Youth Network are peer-led workshops. And so here is a photo at the top right there of a painting class that we just did with one of our youth. One of our youth is all of our youth are extremely talented, but this specific youth has a talent in creating art and is extremely talented and actually gave a class to the rest of our youth about art and just about painting, and they painted different artwork. I believe we're going to show it later on in the slides, but this is just an example of a peer-led workshop. They facilitated this virtually as well. So again, this is an example of what we try to accomplish here at FCJYN. We create a space where each of our members are able to use their personal skills and talents to facilitate skill building workshops and activities as well. The next thing that we try to do here in the FCJYN is campaigning. So the campaigns that the Youth Network participated in are ones that address multiple barriers that impede their full and equitable participation in Canadian society. So an example of this, and I believe we will be talking about it more in depth later on, but an example of this is previously our youth were able to participate in CCR's, which stands for Canadian Council for Refugees, Youth Action Gathering event. And so what this event did, it brought together immigrant and refugee youth ages 16 to 25 from different communities in Canada. In this event, they addressed challenges that immigrant and refugee youth face and how to advocate for change. And so that, again, that is what we try to do here in the Youth Network, is to promote each youth's capacity to advocate for change, and to advocate for change within themselves and also within their communities as well. And so this is an example of the type of campaigns that our youth have the choice to participate in. Another thing that we do here at FCJYN is networking. So the FCJYN is a great place to network. Like I said, it's a place where you make these social connections with other youth, and even these emotional connections, and just build friendships with other youth as well. And not only with the youth, but our staff here at FCJ. Multiple times I've seen youth come through the doors, and all of our staff like, hey, how are you? And they're always catching up. And so that's what we do here at FCJ, is we build these relationships with our youth. And it's not because we have to, but it's because we want to, right? Because every youth has their own unique personality, and that's what we strive to achieve, to have that open space. And so networking is the key thing we do here. Not only do they have the opportunity to network with other youth and with the staff, but also have the opportunity to network with professionals in their field of interest. And so something that we are planning with the youth, we are planning for future events, is to bring on professionals within their field of interest so that they can network and make those connections for when they wanna pursue their field of interest. Another thing that we do here is participate in FCJ related events and festivals as well. So any FCJ events here that we host, or even webinars online, we relay the information to our youth as well, so they have the opportunity to participate in community-led events. Arts and culture as well. We do have family dinner every last Wednesday of the month. So what this is kind of like a time for our youth to get together to cook and eat a meal together. We are going to talk about this later on, but just kind of a brief overview. We've been doing it both online and in person, obviously with limited capacity here at FCJ, but it's a perfect opportunity for our youth to connect, make those connections and talk and get to know each other, and not only each other, but us as well, the youth workers and our staff. But we will be talking about that later on. So our next slide, why join? So I would love to sit here and talk to you about why you should join the Youth Network, or you should relay this information to join the Youth Network. However, I would love to invite Deanna to speak and about her experience. Deanna is actually a longtime member of the FCJ Youth Network. She currently works at FCJ now. So she made those connections and now is working here. So I would love for her to speak about her experience on why youth should join the Youth Network. Deanna?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm here. My name is Diana. I'm 20 and I'm currently part of the FCJ Youth Network and also working as a receptionist here at the FCJ. Well, first of all, I think my experience with the FCJ Youth Network has been amazing. For a long time, you know, especially in situations that a youth could be in, right? You feel like you're unheard. You feel like you have nobody. It's mostly adults kind of like taking over, you would say. But with the FCJ Youth Network, you just, you know, you felt they were like other people like you. So it made you feel less alone. You got to talk to other people about topics that interested you, you know, situations that you guys might be going through that are similar. And, you know, I found that after joining the FCG, I found, you know, like long life friends, people that I trust a lot and I respect. Doesn't matter, you know, where they come from or anything. Like I've found that the FCJ Youth Network has made me, you know, feel less alone and feel welcomed and loved and included. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. And yeah, like Victoria mentioned, it's a safe space to be with other people, and it makes you feel included. Like no matter if you've known the person for a little bit, like you're always welcome there. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that with us. I wanted to also point out these pictures that we have here. The first picture there is everybody. I don't know if Jan, if you were part of this, but obviously I wasn't part of it yet. They painted the garage door of the FCJ refugee house, and I think I see youth in there, and they all got to contribute and paint a nice mural on there, and it's still there today. I wanted to also mention another reason for joining, as to add to what Deanna and Victoria were saying, and I started here, is establish a life in Canada. The reason I started was because it might be useful for some people here to know that when you are making any sort of application, like an agency application, if you find yourself making that application, part of it is to prove that you have established a life in Canada, and leaving Canada will cause more hardships. And so the Youth Network is a great way for youth to show that they're establishing a life and they have a network and they're part of the community and they're involved, and it can really strengthen your application. So that's also another reason to join. There's so many reasons to join, as our list shows, but I just wanted to point out that one is a really important one for anybody who does have to make that kind of an application. That's something to consider.
Thank you so much, Deanna, for speaking on that. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate hearing your experience with the FCJ Youth Network. Just to quickly move on into our successes. So this youth network examines all elements of intersectionality and anti-oppression, and uses this to build goals and programs. So one of the gaps that we've actually observed through our experience with youth and just maintaining this program over time is founded in access to education. So oftentimes there are barriers and impacts experienced by precarious migrant youth populations in accessing secondary and post-secondary education in Ontario. So by collaborating with the Youth Network, we FCJ created Uprooted You. So Uprooted You is a access to education program that incorporates foundational academic skill building and implementation of these skills. This program is meant to fill the educational gap between transitioning from high school to college and university. It's a great program for youth who want to prepare themselves for secondary studies as well as practice their English. We currently have our start date sometime in January. So if anyone is interested, we will put our emails in the description at the end of this presentation. So feel free to email me if you know anyone or if you are interested in joining Uprooted You. Also, I want to talk about Uprooted You Junior as well. So this is also an access to education program that is also meant to fill that educational gap of precarious children who are barred access to or have disengaging and inequitable experiences within the elementary school and Ontario high schools. So this is actually also going to start sometime in January as well. It's targeted between children between the ages of 13 to 17. We have an amazing curriculum plan for these children. It's going to be around activism and how to be an activist in this generation, especially with the rise of social media. And so we are creating this curriculum for our juniors. If you are interested, or if you know anyone who is interested, joining the Uprooted You, which is a program targeted towards those who are 18 and over, or Uprooted You Junior, which is between 13 and 17 years old, please feel free to email me, and my email will distribute it at the end of this presentation. We also have Bestie Book. So the Bestie Book is a celebration of the members of our network by recapping the activities of the past season. So it's a book. It's a book where the voices of the youth are amplified, and they are demonstrating their different forms of expression as well. So you'll find artwork, you'll find jokes, you'll find poems written by our youth for you to all enjoy. The Bestie Book can actually, our recent one is the Spring 2021. You can find that on the FCJ Youth FCJ website, and just go under youth and you can find that as well. So if you want to take a look and see what our youth contributed and what they have been up to, you can definitely take a look at the Bessie book as well. And we will be talking about this later on as well. I believe we're just gonna share a few things from the book, but yeah.
Okay, so obviously we've had to shift a little with the way that we run the youth network just because of COVID to keep everybody safe. Currently, we're working on I would call it a hybrid model where we get to do some in-person events and then some are online. And we are very hopeful that we can continue doing more in-person events with the restrictions being lifted and everything. But we do want to talk about a little bit about how we've created safe spaces during COVID and how we've been able to stay connected. We're going to invite Antinika to speak on this. She's a youth in our youth network who joined during the pandemic, and so she can sort of give her experience about this.
Yeah, can everyone hear me all right? Okay.
Yeah.
So hi everybody, my name is Antinika. I joined FCJ not too long ago, probably sometime around April or May, if I remember right. So yeah, we were doing the activities online, all the meetings were online, but I honestly found it really helpful because I feel like it's easy, like as an immigrant youth, to like come into a new country, like it's easy to like feel excluded in a way because you know everyone speaks another language that you don't, and like it's really hard to feel like you're included somewhere. But I feel like FCJ did a really like great job making sure everyone felt included and involved. And even though the activities were like online, it was still really good. We did informational meetings, we had cooking class, we had art class, which like I really enjoyed. I didn't think I could paint, but I did. And it was really cool to just connect with other youth, like people that you can actually relate to, that, you know that some of the struggles that you may have, that they are probably also going through it. So like you're never really alone. Yeah, so I was really grateful to continue to be part of this experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. It's really great to hear that you've had a good experience through COVID with the FCJ Youth Network, because it is starting to, we're in the point where we're starting to feel like, are we zoomed out? Like, are people tired of Zoom? So it's nice to hear that we are able to still connect and still support one another virtually. And it's also nice to know that we're able to now do in-person activities as well. Here on the snapshots of this past year, we have a picture of one of the paint nights that Antinika was just talking about. We also have a picture of some of the baking. It's from the baking that they've done. Again, Victoria and I weren't part of this because we joined later, but too bad because they look like really good cookies. But the jars, we delivered them to the youth and everyone got to bake from home, and it was virtual, and they all showed each other their cookies and stuff. And then when the weather was nicer, they were able to meet outside, just as we are doing right now. So they were in the park and they got to do tie-dye, which is a picture of all of them together. And then most recently for Truth and Reconciliation Day, we were able to meet here and we created this banner that says "Every Child Matters," and everyone put their handprints on it. And that was a really good experience because we all got to hang out together, do some art, but then also talk about what that day meant for us. So it was a really fun experience. Some other things that we have done during COVID, during the pandemic, they started a podcast called Home is Here. So this podcast, it was recently launched earlier this year. And the goal was to delve into topics that are important to newcomers and to FCJ as a community. The topics can be dense, they can be impactful, but they also can be healing to whoever's listening. We most recently both made podcasts about the programs that we have. We also have movie nights. So we actually just recently, I think it was last Wednesday last Wednesday, we watched Netflix together, and then we followed it up with a discussion about some of the things that we saw on the episode that we were watching. They were doing weekly movie nights before. We moved away a little bit from that, but it is something that we want to try to get into again, because it is another way to solidify your bond and feel like more like a family again, because you're just all sitting down to watch a movie together. So it's a really good experience to have. We've also, like Victoria mentioned, we have our monthly dinners. For a while, they were doing them virtually every last Wednesday of the month. Our last 2 dinners, we did them here. So we made lasagna, and then the next time we made a macaroni pie it was a recipe from Barbados. So we like to encourage youth to choose the recipe and to lead the cooking. And usually it's a recipe that they something that they make at home with their family. So we make it here in the kitchen at FCJ, and then we were able to eat it outside. In the cooler days, we'll probably have to move it inside as long as we can do so safely. And then we also had like Victoria mentioned, we had the Bestie book, and we had a summer edition. So it was a little bit smaller, but everyone was still able to contribute. We had recipes, talked about what we were up to over the summer and poems, and we want to do another one for the end of fall, perhaps, and get everyone to contribute whatever they would like to have in there. So that's also something that if you join the Youth Network, we'll be asking if you want to contribute to this Bestie book, and you can contribute in whatever way you want to. So one important program we have that I mentioned earlier is the AntiHuman Trafficking program. And the way that we've combined this with our youth program is having anti-human trafficking youth workers such as Victoria and I as the liaisons between the youth team and the anti-human trafficking team. So we apply an anti-oppressive lens to provide wraparound case management to precarious migrants with lived experiences of human trafficking for the intent of labor and sex exploitation. We focus a lot on labor exploitation because a lot of newcomers are precarious migrants. And what we mean by precarious migrants, that can be refugee claimants, migrant workers, visitors, people who are out of status, international students, or survivors of human trafficking. And all of this equals youth. Like a youth can be all of these things. You could be one, or you could be more of these things all at once. But it just shows that youth are vulnerable to human trafficking and exploitation, and we recognize that. And so we work together with youth to increase our capacity to work with victims and survivors of human trafficking. And we also have, out of this, the Youth Alliance Against Human Trafficking was created. And this is a regional project that provides access to wraparound supports for youth at risk or in conditions of human trafficking, and connecting those with lived experiences to appropriate resources. So we want this to be a youth-led project where we have capacity building information sessions for youth, educators, and service providers. And we have a steering committee that we are still recruiting youth. Where it's open to all youth to join, and you can help shape what this project is. There is honorarium for your participation. And this project is really started to fill a gap in service. We wanted to provide information sessions and supports to youth as a preventative measure so that they aren't a case for our anti-human trafficking team later. So that's why we have all these information sessions, to have access to information to make informed decisions about your life. And so we have a bunch of upcoming webinars we're planning. And so we'll continue to invite youth to those and get their input and hold focus groups to see really what is important to youth, to see what is a factor in making them vulnerable for exploitation. So again, if you are interested, or you know someone that might be interested in joining the Youth Alliance and joining our steering committee, please reach out to us, because we are always open to more youth, and we want to hear what you have to say. That's the most important part of this project. And one very important component to FCJ as a whole, but also to the Youth Network, is advocacy and allyship. We don't want the Youth Network to just be a weekly meeting. We want it to be something bigger than that. We want it to be something where the youth are able to create change in things that they care about, and to advocate for things that they care about. And so in the past, we have been able to have youth really work with FCJ, and there's pictures that when I was going through past presentations to when we were trying to make this presentation, I found pictures of youth and staff at protests together, holding signs, and just coming together as a community to advocate for whatever they believe in. And so we want to invite Daquana, who is a youth that has been part of the Youth Network for quite some time now, and is also working at FCJ with us. And she has been part of a lot of different campaigns and advocacy efforts that FCJ has done with the Youth Network. So we invite her to speak right now.
Hi, my name is Daquana. So one of the organization or like projects that we did was with CCR, which is the Canadian Council for Refugee. And what this organization do, they have a youth action gather where like other organizations that have a youth group come together and like come up with a project. So one of the projects that we did was like express how like newcomers and people without status feel. So with that, we made a poem that we turned into a video. And with that video, people saw it and like some professors saw it. So we started like presented in schools that deal with like schools that have the program that they're going to end up dealing with like newcomers or like people without status. So like they know how to like speak to the person or like understand their own issues, you know? And then with that, we go to the youth action gathering. And sometimes the youth action gathering won't be in Toronto. It could be in Montreal, Ottawa, New Brunswick, like it goes everywhere. So with that, sometimes this year would like give you half of the money, and then the organization has to like fundraise and make money. So like you don't have to go on the trip and think about what am I gonna eat tonight, you know? So they covered all that stuff. So what we did a fundraising where we started making bags and selling them. And then we sell them at our art gallery. We sell them to some of the people that come to the youth group who comes to our events that we have. We put them on our page. People started buying it, and then that got us the money to take all the youths who wanted to go to the youth action gathering. And at the youth action gathering, it's a time for like the youth to express themselves, speak, not feel like they don't have a voice. Like everybody's voice is heard, and it's just a place that you also feel safe. And like it's also a space where like we could bring other organizations who never heard about CCR to come together and make their own projects. So it's like a big thing of like youth who want people to hear their voice. So that is what the CCR is all about, and why it's important that we at FCJ is keeping on doing that every year. We get that chance to go.
Thank you, Daquana, because there's a lot of that you just said that I didn't even know about. So it's really nice to be able to hear your experience as well. It's unfortunate the CCR working groups, they happen every year, but because of COVID, they've been happening virtually. So we haven't been able to do the normal trip that we would normally do with the youth. But again, hopeful that in the near future, we'll be able to do that again. But I do know that they've been able to travel to different provinces together to be able to attend those meetings. We also have been able to do capacity building workshops where they can be related to whatever the youth are passionate about. The FCJ Youth Network is also a way to have some support community engagement. It's not just through FCJ, but through other organizations as well. And then there's also opportunities to have publications that we do together. So either a toolkit or report that we can write together, or, you know, the options are open. It's because all these ideas are being kind of born out of the youth network. It's the youth they come up with ideas and we're just here to facilitate them. And so whatever you're passionate about, that's something that we can work together and try to figure out how we can create something out of that and create some sort of change. And so our last slide over here had just a quote that said, "The youth network is home to me, even though we're from all over, they're my family." It's a quote directly from one of the youth. We also have a picture there of the youth who, I think they all went on a trip. I'm not sure where, but they had to fly. So it was a different province for sure. I do know that there was one trip that was out west for the CCR workshop. So that might have been it. But that, and maybe that was what Dakwana was talking about, the fundraising. But it's either way, it's one of the trips that they, sorry, my computer just froze. It's one of the trips that they all took together. And it's just a nice picture because it's such a large group, and you can just see that it's quite a large family. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation about the Youth Network. We want to thank you all for joining and listening. It's really great to be able to just have the opportunity to talk about the Youth Network because we're excited about it. We're new to it, and we're excited to have more youth join it as well. You can contact us with any questions here. We have our emails here, and we also have our Instagram, which is the FCJ Youth Network, which Victoria and I both run together. We contribute to it. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, and we're going to open it up to any questions if anyone has any. And if you think of any questions later, if you don't have any questions right now, that's okay. But if you think of anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions right now. So I guess we can just wrap it up. But again, we are so happy for all of you to be here. Thank you, Dakwana, Deanna, and Tonika for presenting for us. It's great to have your input because thanks for the heart. I see the heart there because your input is the most important part of this. So the Youth Network is all about you, and it's shaped by what everyone wants, what all the youth want it to look like. So we're extremely happy that you were able to come and tell us about your experiences.
Yeah, I just want to quickly add on to that. Yeah, thank you so much to our youth who decided to join us today and to share. And yeah, if exactly what Yvonne said, if you have any questions, I actually put our emails in the chat box. So if you want, you can copy and paste it if you're on a laptop or anything like that, or you can screenshot the screen. Everything that this entire presentation will be found online as well. So if you want to look back and just see any more information or just recap what we spoke about, you can always check online on the FCJ's website as well. The slides will be linked there too. So if you want to look back for any more information, you can always go to the FCJ website and it will be posted on there as well. So just to reiterate, yes, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. If you if you're interested in joining the FCJ Youth Network, feel free to email any one of us. If you're interested in the Uprooted You program that I mentioned earlier about the access to education, feel free to email me. And so then I can send you the registration form and then we could get started with that as well. All right. Shall we conclude? Last chance, anyone have any questions? Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.